everyone. Welcome to the first ever CAB Virtual Progressive Dinner. I'm getting us started with two simple and easy side dishes. The side dishes that I'm going to make are really simple. They go with just about any meal. I happen to get a sneak peek of what's coming up next for you in the entree, and these two side dishes will go great with that. But like I said, they're simple, they're easy, and they go with just about any meal that you could prepare. So I'm going to walk through what we're making. I'm going to first start my oven and set that for 400 degrees because both dishes will cook at the same temperature. And we're going to start with a potato dish, and then we'll move into a broccoli dish. The potato dish will go in first because that takes longer. And I'm using Yukon Gold potatoes. You could use any kind of potato you like, but I happen to like Yukon Gold because they're very creamy. And I love the texture of them, but like I said, you can use any potato you want. You can peel them or not. I do not peel them. I prefer them with the skin on, but again, you could do them any way you want. And the key to this is just to try to cut them into pieces that are of about equal size, right? So that they cook pretty evenly. Just bite-sized pieces. I usually go with about 1 potato or 1.5 potatoes of this size per person. So if you're cooking for 4 or 5 people, you might want to use, 5 or 6 potatoes. The key here is just to try to keep the pieces somewhat similar in size. And then simple spray, cooking spray in your dish. Throw these in. This is so simple and easy. Like I said, you can make this any time. They don't take too long to cook if you cut them small like this. What I'm going to do for some coating on them is oil, which I'm using grapeseed oil. A lot of people use extra virgin olive oil. You can use regular canola oil or vegetable oil. I happen to be a fan lately of grapeseed oil. What I'm going to put in there is these chopped up chives in with the oil and some fresh thyme. So I just bought this in the grocery store today, fresh thyme. And then I'm going to put simple salt and pepper. I use some sea salt, and I like salt. Use it to your taste, right? And some pepper. Give that a quick little stir. And that's all I'm using for herbs. Some people would use, I'm going to put a little more salt and pepper in here. Some people could use garlic, or you could use sage or any other spice you want. Like I said, I'm using thyme and chives, salt and pepper, and I'm just going to simply coat the potatoes with this mixture. Not too much and not too little. Toss it around a bit. I'm roasting them at 400 degrees, and they should take about a half hour. I like to put a little bit of Parmesan cheese on mine. Again, you can choose to or not. We don't happen to have any food allergies or sensitivities in my house, so we can go ahead and put some cheese on here, but you can season them to, again, your taste or your preferences. So that is it. That's so simple and easy. As soon as that oven is ready, I will pop those in, and I'm going to move on and get the broccoli ready. The key with the broccoli is similar to the potatoes in that you want to cut the pieces about the same size, again, so that they cook pretty evenly. And I only like to use the very top of the broccoli. Some people will use a little bit more of the stem, but I'm not a big fan of that stem, so this is how we do this. The idea if you're roasting broccoli rather than steaming it is you want to put it pretty evenly on the sheet. So you want one layer on a sheet pan, and you want to leave some space in between the pieces of broccoli. You don't want to pile it up on top of each other. Otherwise, you're going to end up with broccoli that tastes more like steamed broccoli instead of roasted. When you're roasting it, you're trying to get it to have a nice little char on the top and on the edges. And if you have it all piled up on top of each other, it's really it's going to cook, but it's not going to have that roasted taste. It's going to taste, like I said, more like steamed broccoli. I lined it with foil, no particular reason other than it's easier to clean up afterwards. Put the broccoli. I got a little sneak peek about what's coming up next in the entree part of this progressive dinner. And I am excited to learn how to make what President Cooper's making for the entree. So I'm going to tune in and watch that myself. Similar to the potatoes, we're going to create a little seasoning mixture to put on top. I am going to use a little bit of butter with the grapeseed oil. Again, dietary preferences or needs aside, we are using a little butter. You can use all oil, you can use all butter, whatever you prefer. I'm going to get this melted. I'm seasoning the broccoli with a lot of lemon. I don't know if you've ever done broccoli with lemon before, but it is so good. Squeezing it over this little strainer so that the seeds don't get onto the pan, onto the broccoli. But I like a lot of lemon. I will use this whole lemon on this amount of broccoli. Some melted butter. Put a little oil in there, but I think we have enough butter right here. And besides the lemon and butter, really all I put on here is a little salt and pepper as well. So I like to just drizzle this over here. Not too much. We still want it to resemble something healthy. And put some salt and pepper. Again, if you wanted to use any type of herbs, use some garlic here. Lemon and garlic are awesome together. And that is it. We're going to put both of these in the oven. And as I said, these are two simple, really easy, very few ingredients side dishes that go with everything. So here's my oven. We put the potatoes in first because they need a little bit longer. They need about 30 minutes. And then in about 15 minutes, I'll put the broccoli in because that will cook quicker. And we'll have two simple, easy side dishes. So we're ready. Everything's done in the oven. Let's take them out. Potatoes. And the roasted broccoli. As I mentioned, if you want to get a close look at that, the broccoli has a nice char on it. The potatoes are done. I'm going to sprinkle just a little more Parmesan cheese on there. And that is it. Two easy dishes. Up next is President Cooper with our entree.
It's the Coopers here, cooking at 425 Alden Street. I am excited to join my friends and colleagues, Sue Nowlan and Annie Warchol and her family, in our very first progressive cab dinner. I was tasked with doing the main entree, so that's what I'm gonna do. And tonight's menu is chicken Florentine. Sue has made two wonderful side dishes that you just saw, and there's a chocolate cake at the end of this rainbow, so this is exciting. I have sent this on to Kirk, my lovely chicken Florentine recipe that I got in Parade magazine just a few weeks ago. So you've got the ingredients, and let me show you how it's done. First thing, I'm going to turn my oven on to 300. And even though I won't be doing a lot of cooking there, it will be a holding pattern for the chicken that I'm going to cook over the stove. I've got 4 chicken breasts. They're about 6 ounces a piece. Easiest way, I think, to go ahead and coat chicken breasts are to put them in a bag. I used to dredge them through another material. Far too messy. This is much better. Now I'm going to coat my chicken breasts. I put in just this bag about a half a cup of white flour so that it is just coating the chicken breasts. Over here on the stove, I'm going to take my EVO. Thank you very much, Rachel Ray. And we're going to put in about 2 teaspoons, just enough to coat the pan. I'm going to put that at a medium heat, just a regular pan, 2 teaspoons of olive oil. Now, even though I have these nice chicken breasts, I'm going to cut them in half. so that they cook more rapidly. I'd like to thank my videographer, Mr. Cooper, first man, who's been getting to do this quite a bit lately, and he's quite a pro. And of course there's Jack. See if we can include Jack. Jack's always close by when there's a video of food being made. So again, you want to make sure your chicken breasts are nice and thin for this meal. They'll cook more quickly and you'll be confident that they're cooked all the way through. Nice and coated. My oil should be nice and done. The beauty of this meal is that it is a one-pan meal, which I love. It makes cleanup so much easier. So you're going to take these chicken breasts, these coated chicken breasts, I'm just going to put them in. You're going to cook them about 7 to 8 minutes each side, so they're cooked all the way through. You can hear it sizzling. Can you bring that in closer so you can hear that sizzle? While that's cooking, this recipe calls for spinach. And we use bagged, savory spinach. But I like a lot of leaves with my spinach when I cook it, so I try to take off as many of these large stems as possible. It just makes for a more attractive meal. And sometimes the stems can be bitter, so while that chicken's cooking up, I'll take care of this task. Other ingredients that are in this meal that you'll see that I prepared in advance is about 3/4 cup of heavy cream and 1/2 cup of milk. I like to cut down that heavy cream because sometimes that gets to be too thick. About 1/2 cup of shallots that are minced very finely. And then again, of course, our spinach, and then 3 cloves of garlic that we'll cook in with our meal as well. Now again, that's going to be 7 to 8 minutes, so I like to put a little bit of salt and pepper on my chicken breasts as they cook. This recipe also calls for a cup of dry white wine, so we're using a lovely Chardonnay, but I'm going to be cooking with it because I'm working. We do like to make sure our poultry is cooked all the way through. Especially your chicken. You want to be really careful about that. Yeah, poultry is at 165, and I'm taking it out of the pan at about 160 because it's going to go in the oven for about 10 to 12 minutes, and so it'll continue to cook. Okay, these nice chicken pieces, all nicely browned, and all of them at a nice temperature of about 160. So we are good to go. Slide these into the oven at 300 so they continue to cook. I like to make sure again that my chicken is cooked well. Now look at this pan, you say, gosh, what will we do with that? Well, all that good stuff at the bottom is exactly what we need. So we're gonna put in about, I'm gonna say 1/3 of tablespoon of butter. Now turn that all the way down to simmer. We're going to use the butter to get up that really nice cooked seasoning that the chicken left. And we're going to add in here our 1/2 cup of shallots, minced. We're also going to add in our garlic. We're going to let that simmer for 2 to 3 minutes until that gets nice and soft. Meanwhile, our chicken is in the oven, cooking all the way through. If there was only a smell feature on the video, that would be awesome. That's going to simmer for about 2 to 3 minutes. Now we're gonna add some dry white wine and continue to get all of that nice crispy stuff off the bottom of the pan. And that's gonna be in here for about 5 minutes. So we've let that simmer for about 5 minutes. And so you can see that it's reduced just a little bit. It's still gonna have, we're gonna thicken it up here with our heavy cream. We're putting a cup of heavy cream. I use about 2/3 a cup of heavy cream and 1/2 cup of regular milk. And add it in just a little at a time to make your sauce. And the last item I'm gonna add to this is this raw spinach. Now it's been cleaned, and again, I took the tags off of it just because I'm not a big, wild fan of the stems. Once you give that sauce a chance to heat all the way through, you're gonna add somewhere between 4 to 5 cups. I love spinach, and so you're gonna see me add a bag of spinach because it's gonna wilt down. And the more spinach you have, the better the recipe is from my perspective. As you know, I'm following Dean Nowlan's meal or the first course of potatoes and broccoli. So we've got 2 beautiful side dishes to add to tonight's dinner. And so I am not gonna put this over rice, but I could put this over a rice or a pasta. But since we have potatoes on our side, as well as our broccoli that Sue has made, we're all set. Joanna Gaines says, you know when your sauce is done if it coats the back of your spoon. And voila, sauce is done. So we will add our spinach. Sheet calls for 4 cups. I'm gonna put in probably closer to 5 because we're big spinach fans. We'll let that wilt down. We'll get our chicken out of the oven and prepare that. See how nice that chicken looks. And just slice this up. See how tender that meat is. Let this spinach wilt in. Almost ready. And because there are just 2 of us here tonight, I'm gonna just put in 4 of these chicken breasts back. Make it easier to save the sauce, the remaining sauce for later. And I continue to let that spinach wilt down. I like to add 1 lemon as a garnish. Give it a nice citrusy taste. And then a little parsley on top. And there you have it, chicken Florentine. Bon appetit, all my friends. Again, Sue, I'll sit here and wait for you to bring over the sides. And now I'm gonna shoot this over to Annie for a lovely dessert. Thank you for joining me. Have a great night.
Hi, my name is Riley. And I'm Liam, and we're making a delicious cake for dessert.
Now, Liam and Riley, what ingredients do you need to make your cake?
We need cake mix, 3 eggs, vegetable oil, and water.
Great, and how much vegetable oil?
1/2 cup.
1/2 cup, and 1 1/4 cups of water.
Now Riley's gonna add in the cake mix.
Okay, go ahead, Riley. Get it all in there.
Make sure you get all of it.
All right, and what goes in next?
The vegetable oil.
Okay, Riley, go ahead. Perfect. And what goes in next?
The water. Liam, you do the water and you can do 2 eggs and...
Okay. Now this is the tricky part. The eggs. So
Right
who
here.
wants to crack the egg first?
I'm gonna do it.
Okay. Okay, now it's Liam's turn to crack an egg. For those of you who've never done this before, Liam's a first timer. Perfect! You did it! All right,
Okay.
put it right on the towel. Yep.
Yep.
And do one more. Good job, Liam. Perfect.
Now it's time for a mix.
Okay, so now it's time to mix it up with the spoons. Give it a good stir. How we doing, Riley, on the stirring?
Good.
Good. You're making it nice. It's almost ready. Great job. So Liam, what do we need to do now?
We need to add this bake cooking spray to the pan so it won't stick.
Great. And we also put the oven on 350. So we're going to spray the pan, and then we will be putting the cake batter into the pan.
Okay, so now we're gonna pour the cake batter into the pan. Make sure you don't put it into the hole, because then it would go right through.
Good job, Riley. Okay, so as you do this, you just want to make sure you get a big spoon. Put all the excess in there. All right, and we'll be back.
Always wear your mittens.
That's right, we always need mittens. So we're going to open up. Be careful, very hot, stay back. And then you're
Ooh,
going to just
that's
put
hot.
the cake right in here. Depends on how long you cook, depending on how
Hey, Mom.
what baking pan you're using. But for ours, it's 45 minutes. And then we'll be back.
Now we're back, and we're gonna take the cake now out of the oven.
And then you gotta let it sit for 10 minutes before you can start decorating it.
Okay, now we're gonna put it onto the cake plate.
Okay, ready? This is the hardest part. You don't want to mess it up. So you take the cake plate. This is how I do it. Okay, gotta make sure it's cool. And you lift it up with your hands. Did you hear it? This takes talent, everybody. Okay. Ta-da! So now we've got the cake, and now it's time to decorate it.
Hi, now we're spreading the frosting.
So if you have one of these ice spreaders, they come in handy. You can get the little areas, right, Riley girl?
Uh-huh.
If not, you can just use a butter knife. And we're using rich and creamy Betty Crocker frosting. Great, guys. Uh-oh.
Just like in Shady. We finished the cake, and now it's time to munchy munch munch. We miss you. Bye.